This story came across my way the other day, and at first I wasn't going to talk about it, but then I had saw something else on social media that prompted me to talk about it. It was a whole nother story. I probably won't even talk about it, but it actually made me think about a couple of things relating to what I'm about to discuss. So in this picture, you see two individuals. On the left is a guy by the name of Peter Mutabazi, and I'm assuming that's how you say his name. He's from Uganda. He was a single man. I don't think he was married or anything like that, so he has no kids. And on the right of him is a boy who is PC, whose name is Anthony. And earlier this year, he actually adopted this boy. And I think this is a more like an older picture because I've seen more recent pictures of him, and he looks a little bit different now because he knows the months go by. But one thing that came out of this recently is him telling his story in which people would see the boy, Anthony, with him and assume that he was kidnapped. I have seen this or heard this narrative so many times where you will have maybe a black babysitter who's maybe watching white children, or a person like in his case, who has adopted a white kid who, by the way, when I was reading a little bit more into the story, this white boy, he basically was abandoned by his birth parents. Like, he was just left stranded. Like, he had no family that would take him in. He was just left stranded. He got put into the system, and then he got adopted by this guy. So he has been accused of kidnapping this boy, but like I said, I've heard so many stories where you've had black people who may have adopted white kids who fall into that same category, or they may be watching white children and they always question the child, are they okay, where are their parents, not realizing they are in the care of the people they're supposed to be in. But what I find interesting is that when PC adopts or watches black children, no one ever questions them if the child is okay or if that child has been kidnapped. They just treat it as if it's a regular everyday type of deal. But if you go back through history, who was watching all of their kids? I'll take it a step further. Who was breastfeeding their kids? So for them to question that is asinine. And let's not get into the whole Hart family. I can go all day about that one. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article that came out less than a day ago, as a matter of fact. It says, black father sometimes accused of kidnapping his white children. Now, it does say children because since he has adopted this boy, he has now also adopted another white boy. I already can tell some of y'all in the comments are about to go in just on that fact alone. But let me get into it. Peter Mudabazi knows what it is like to have nothing. He grew up in Uganda, and he describes a life where they didn't have shoes and they had to walk hours just to be able to get some water to drink. Small things that we all take for granted every single day. He also explains how when you grow up poor, you don't believe that it can ever get any better. This is just the way it is for you. According to Newsweek, Peter said that he wanted a better life from the moment he was small, and he left his village when he was just 10 years old, and he ended up homeless. While it seems like his story ends there, he happened to meet a man who would change his life and give him a start that he needed. This man put him through school, and he was able to achieve scholarships in universities in both the UK and the US. He also says that when you grow up poor and you have your life change, you almost feel a burden of guilt, and that may be why he decided to be an advocate for children. He bought his first house and was able to become a mentor to others. His life path led him to be a foster dad, and he went through all the classes he needed and spent a lot of time making his house perfect and safe to be able to bring a child home. Now, before I go any further, one thing I've also noticed is that the system also makes it almost damn near impossible for a lot of black foster parents to even adopt. One shocking thing to adopt children and to adopt black children. One thing that shocked me about this is the fact that this guy is not married, and he was a single foster parent, and he was able to adopt because they give single parents to run around because they feel like it's kind of a risk throwing a child into a home where there's not two parents there. But what I also notice is this, how racist the system is, because they'll give a child over to two people of the same sex, whether it be two men or two women. Again, going back to the Hart family, and they will let two PC males adopt a black child or black children, or two PC women adopt the black children. But if a black person, single or not, tries to adopt a black child, then they like, well, when they start doing that, you already know the BS meter is about to start going straight through the thermometer and go and shoot out the other end. Let's see what else here. Peter said that he has fostered 13 children in total, and 9 of those children have been white. Peter is a black man, and he says that it can be a bit of a challenge when it comes to fostering interracially. He soon met Anthony, a young boy who had a sad story, and Peter was able to officially adopt him in 2019. Peter explains how he sometimes gets looks of confusion and assumption when people find out that he is Anthony's father. Being a black father to a white kid or white kids means that he is often accused of doing awful things. Now, like I said, this goes back to them assuming that he's just going to be horrible to these kids because they're white, but they never assume if it's a white parent or a white foster parent of them doing something to, say, their adopted black kids. Even though we have seen and heard some stories, most of them horror stories. Look at what Charlize Theron is doing to her son and her daughter, quite honestly. Peter also explained an instance where he took one of his foster sons out for dinner and his son was not happy. He was throwing a normal tantrum that all small children tend to do, and he was stopped by a woman in another car and asked where the boy's parents were. She didn't believe the truth and even went as far as to call the police. The situation got cleared up, but the woman never apologized to him. And it is a heartbreaking story to hear of someone doing something that is so good only to be treated like a criminal. Yeah, this is a touchy story right here. Like I said, if I know my subscribers, they're going to be like, well, that's what he gets. Why didn't he adopt those black children and leave the white children there? Because it did say he fostered, 13 kids? Or 9, was it 9 kids? Let me go back and read it because I forgot just that quick. He fostered 13 children in total and 9 of them were white. So that means 3 of them were probably black, but then he adopted 2 white kids. So I already know how y'all gonna feel about that. I don't even have to go into the diatribe because I can already hear the comments rolling just on that part alone. But really think about what I said. They accused this man of kidnapping these kids, and he just said that one of them was just throwing a tantrum like kids normally do, but they assumed he was harming them or trying to kidnap them or torture them in any kind of way. But usually it's the other way around, but they never ever question when PC people do it. They never do. Just like that woman that 45 has now nominated to be or replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she adopted 2 Haitian kids. If we was to sit there and question, are those kids okay in the house? You'll have PC coming right behind us saying, don't be racist. Why can't she adopt the kids? She can't be racist because she has 2 black kids that she adopted. There's no way she could be racist. I'm sure they said the same thing about the Hart family, and look at what came out of that. And look at what Charlize Theron is doing. She is literally turning her child into a girl. But this guy apparently is raising these kids with no complaints and no problems, but they're questioning his parenting skills. Is he harming the kids? Is he torturing the kids? Is he kidnapping them? This just because the child acts the way that a child does in public. But y'all let me know what y'all think.